Whenever Joe Biden wants to motivate people or provide some form of solace to victims of disaster, he likes to draw upon his religious beliefs. His speeches are often filled with mentions of God, scriptural phrases, or references to the Catholic Church.
I grew up with Catholic social doctrine, which taught me that faith without works is dead.
The former vice president initiated his run for the presidency in 2021 by characterizing his campaign as a fight for the nation's soul. This concept was the main focus during his primary campaign and continues to be a fundamental principle of his administration. Just like Biden, ex-President Donald Trump has often made references to the Holy Communion in his public speeches too.
When I drink my little wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness, and I do that as often as possible because I feel cleansed.
But more than professing their faith during national addresses, are these men really examples of what a Christian should be? Joe Biden is a practicing Catholic, and his faith is believed to play a significant role in his life and politics. He is known to carry a rosary in his pocket and attends Mass every Sunday. His speeches are often woven with references to God, biblical language, or the Pope. People who know him well say his Catholic faith is central to how he sees the world. But does that mean he would not trade his core Catholic beliefs for political correspondence and support for abortion and LGBTQ? Not very likely.
As long as I have power of the presidency, know this: if Congress were to pass a national abortion ban, I will veto it.
On the issue of abortion, it can be observed that Biden's views have evolved over the years, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing. He supports a woman's right to choose whether or not to have a child, which is one of the core tenets of progressive politics. This stance on abortion and his support for reproductive rights, however, clash with church teachings. Some bishops have even suggested that he should be denied the Eucharist because of his views about reproductive rights. And I think something close to that actually happened, as Biden admitted in an interview that the Pope once denied him Holy Communion.
You were in South Carolina recently, and a Catholic priest did not give you communion. He said it was because of your position on abortion. Were you offended by that?
That's a private matter. I'm not going to talk about that. It's not a position that I've found anywhere else.
In the same vein, Donald Trump was raised in the First Presbyterian Church in Jamaica, Queens, and was confirmed at age 13. His family then started attending the Marble Collegiate Church in Manhattan, which belongs to the Reformed Church in America. He has been known to make public references to his faith a lot.
Protestant, I'm very proud of it. Presbyterian, to be exact. The Bible certainly is one of, if not, it is the book.
2 Corinthians 3:17, that's the whole ball game.
Maybe he's not as perfect on the Bible, but I did go to Sunday school for many years.
And I go to church a lot, always on Christmas, always on Easter. I'm a Sunday church person.
And just like Biden, Trump's stance on abortion has shifted over time. Trump changed his public position on abortion from pro-choice to pro-life in 2011 as part of his bid for the Republican presidential nomination. It's baffling what politicians can do in an attempt to get the people's vote. Mark 8 verses 36 and 37 says, "What good is it for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul?" Trump later tries to reinstate his foregone principle by re-solidifying his anti-abortion position. He has touted his support for abortion restrictions and his role in appointing 3 conservative Supreme Court justices, all of whom helped strike down Roe v. Wade in a 5-4 vote. However, he has also stated that it is probably better to leave the decision on abortion to individual states. That's the same thing Pilate did after slapping Jesus on the cheek, washing his hands in the presence of the Jews to imply he had nothing to do with his crucifixion. It's important to note that while Trump's political positions may not fully reflect his personal beliefs, they still pose a problem because Jesus says, "By their fruits you shall know them." As a public figure, Trump has had to balance his personal views on pro-life and pro-choice with his responsibility to represent a diverse range of views in the United States. I'm not judging because I know this can be a complex issue with many nuances. But how about the other elephant in the room? I'm talking about his perspectives on homosexuality and sundry moral ethical issues in the United States. Donald Trump's stance on LGBTQ+ rights has been a topic of discussion and has evolved over time. Trump happens to have been the first GOP nominee to mention the LGBTQ+ community in his nomination acceptance speech, pledging then to protect the community from violence and oppression. Is it just me, or was Trump pledging to protect what his personal beliefs don't support? I thought the Bible warns against double standards because it appears this is what Donald Trump is doing, trying to play his fiddle to expectations so that he doesn't lose his meal ticket. As it would appear, it seems he was just playing that familiar piper temporarily, because shortly after his inauguration, his administration came under criticism for rolling back on non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ plus people. To the average person, that would seem like a smart move because he made them believe he was for them, the abortionist, the trans, and dual sexual, just to turn on them after gathering their votes to mount the podium. However, this type of action decries deception and doesn't characterize an attribute of true Christianity. We are to stand for the truth of our convictions at all times, irrespective of the circumstances at hand. Trump's political correctness stands on the same pedestal when pitched against his foremost political adversary, who he hopes to run against in the next election, President Biden. In one turn of events, Biden once voiced plans to nominate federal judges who support Roe v. Wade and would support a federal statute legalizing abortion if the Supreme Court's conservative majority strikes down Roe. He has also expressed that he wants to reverse the Trump administration's domestic gag rule, which restricts providers that offer abortion referrals from receiving Title X family planning funds. In his plan for health care, Biden said that he wants to build on the progress made by the Affordable Care Act, which covers access to preventive care and contraceptives. He proposes that the public option will cover contraception and a woman's constitutional right to choose. But what about the fetus's God-given right to life and living? Has it been given that chance? Joe Biden's Catholic faith is no longer central to how he sees the world and shapes his politics, at least not anymore if it ever was. Before assuming power, Biden tried to frame his election as a clear moral contrast between himself and his opponents, and some Democrats would go so far as to say that Biden is running perhaps the most overtly devout Democratic presidential campaign since Jimmy Carter in 1976. His position on abortion, for most of his political life, was that he was personally against it, but didn't think lawmakers should legislate for the whole country on the basis of church doctrine. But now, Biden is also towing his predecessor's line, attempting to wash his hands off, saying he will be pushing states and lawmakers to protect abortion rights wherever possible. As complex and nuanced as this issue may be, I call on Biden to change his approach to reconciling his faith with his political views. He should realign his policies with reference to the tenets of morality and faith based on his Catholic upbringing. The Catholic Church, which President Biden holds dear, has consistently condemned abortion as a grave moral and social wrong. The Church's teachings are based on the belief that all life is sacred from conception until natural death, and the taking of innocent human life, whether born or unborn, is morally wrong. The Church teaches human life is sacred because from its beginning it involves the creative action of God, and it remains forever in a special relationship with the Creator, who is its sole end. God alone is the Lord of life from its beginning until its end. No one can under any circumstance claim for himself the right directly to destroy an innocent human being. Donum Vitae 5. The Church considers abortion a crime against human life, and obtaining an abortion or helping someone else obtain an abortion are grounds for automatic excommunication. Every human being must be respected as a person and accorded rights and dignity equal to those of all other persons. The most basic right, upon which all others depend, is the right to life. Today I ask heaven and earth to be witnesses. I am offering you life or death, blessings or curses. Now choose life, then you and your children may live. Deuteronomy 30 verse 19. Today we see that the nation is on the verge of moral decadence, social vices, and anti-Christian policies. These issues arise from a term I chose to call anti-Christian nationalism, a political ideology that fuses American identity with an ultra-conservative strain of Christianity. It has been associated with intolerance, partisan tensions, and growing anxiety, all of which create challenges for faith communities. Yet, we also grapple with the issue of declining religious faith in America. There is evidence that Americans are becoming significantly less religious. They are drifting away from churches, praying less, and are less likely to say religion is important in their lives. They also exhibit hostility against churches. There have been reports of hostility against churches, with at least 420 acts of hostility against churches occurring in the United States over the past 5 years. Brethren, let's not lose sight of the essence of Christianity's true calling. While it is pertinent to express support for our political leaders, let's not fail to pray for their spiritual and moral stability, for there lies the price of our faith. I would like you to show your support for this channel channel by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. May God grant you grace today and forevermore. Amen.